Shane. Kind of out of breath. This is going to be a soft spoken video. We're doing a soft spoken video on a Reddit thread that I found that is titled, I think it's what is one thing that makes someone unlikable to you? Now I did find another thread. It's just on the Reddit questions subreddit. I did find another thread that said what makes someone likable to you, and I will probably save that one for Patreon. But I did notice that there was a lot more comments about what makes someone unlikable, and at first I was like, that's kind of sad that there's so many things that can make someone unlikable, but less about what can make someone likable. And then I thought, but same, because I struggle to like people in a lot of ways. So let's see what we agree or disagree with here. But before we get into it, you know what we gotta do. Some channel maintenance, some channel hygiene. So if you're new here, welcome to my nonsense. If you're old here, welcome back. Oh, geez. If you're new here, please consider hitting subscribe. And if you're old here, go double check. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like. If you like, leave a comment. It could be anything related to the video. It could just be a hello, a few emojis, whatever, as long as it's cool and respectful. Hit the notification bell. As always, I will link my tip jars down yonder in the description box. No pressure whatsoever, but every $1 or $2 helps. That is what allows me to continue to make content. Also, you are invited to my Patreon. I know not everybody can come, but you can't say you weren't invited. You want the smoke? Go over there. Okay. Trident cinnamon. The subreddit is questions. What is one thing that makes someone unlikable to you? The top one in it, I read a few of these, right? And that's why I was like, oh, I gotta do a video on this. But arrogance, even just needing to be the center of attention, it drives me nuts. It drives me freaking nuts. And there are full-blown adults, seniors that are still like this. Like, did you not have parenting? Oh. Because when you see these behaviors in your kids, and kids try this stuff, you're supposed to have talks. And I think a lot of the problems are because these parents aren't having talks. Because they're the same way. Because one or both of the parents is the same freaking way. Arrogance is a big one for me. The loudest one in the room, that's a complex. The loudest, I would say, not necessarily loud, because some people have like hearing issues and so they talk a little bit louder. But it's just like a belligerent type of arrogance, you know? Okay, another one is when you tell someone something in confidence and all of a sudden everyone is talking about it. Well, that's kind of obvious. That's a given. Sometimes you got to put testers out. Test a little bit of fake or real information. Not a straight up lie, but just put a little tester out on somebody. Refusing to take accountability. We all mess up. It happens, but admit you are wrong or partly wrong and move on. I was just watching a long video by Haley Elizabeth on the Ace family. And you know that family has done some outrageous disgust. They're vile. I hate the Ace family. And every time they would mess up, only the wife would come on screen to apologize. She'd be like, well, before we get started today, I just want to say, you know, we did the... She wouldn't apologize either. She would just be like, y'all took it the wrong way. But it was never Austin. Like, I can't even... The image of Austin or his brother popping into my head makes me freaking nauseous. Like, their face, their being... I don't know, it's intense. And I never even watched the show. I wouldn't, because it's like Disney acting. But just all the scheming, their just way of living. And sorry, it's personal, I guess. They must really remind me of some people. Somebody said, yeah, I told a secret about a friend unintentionally and I should have just shut up. I left immediately and went to my friend and told her what I did, and she forgave me, and I don't tell secrets or drink anymore. Oh my God. I struggle with this. Not necessarily secrets, but just like, especially when I was drinking, just blabbing things, and I was like, whoa, shoot. Like, no. Take it back. Why did I just heard myself say that, and like, that was nobody's business. But not necessarily like secrets, just like, no, that wasn't, I was not supposed to say that. Sober me would not have said that. Somebody said, I struggle with everything is somebody else's fault. Always types of people too. A few people are in my immediate family. I just kind of gray rock them by refusing to acknowledge or engage in conversation when the topic happens to be why it's not my fault. I've outgrown friends like this too. I find it especially frustrating because I used to be like that myself. You know, they say if you see it, if you spot it, you got it. As we all do, I had what I thought at the time were valid reasons, but shifting blame off yourself for a very tiny mistake is a full-time job. Messing up is part of the human experience. It's how we learn to do better. But there comes a point when I feel like we have to actively make the choice to grow our self-awareness, or we will just stagnate in our smaller mindsets, shifting blame forever. I know a lot of that comes with age and life experience too, but there's only so much grace I can give a person before I don't believe their excuses anymore. Yes, but sometimes a lot of things are going on that are other people's fault, and that is a sign of your own boundaries being weak. When left and right you feel like people are like fouling you, it's time to cut people off. It's time to set boundaries. So it's not necessarily that things aren't other people's fault. It's just that you haven't made them aware that you're not accepting of that. If that makes sense. I can't articulate it, but there have been times in my life where it's like, so it kind of is your own fault, because you're like, no, you need to have these talks with these people, or you need to cut them out of your life, or end the friendship, or end the relationship. Like, somebody draining your bank account, your joint bank account, isn't necessarily your fault, but it should only happen one time. And you should always have more than just your joint account, okay? Oh my God, this one is maybe one of my biggest. And you know what sucks is it happens at work all the time. And you can't get out of it. You can't get out of it at work. You can kind of get out of it in real life because you can be more of your real self. But at work, you know, you are your customer service self. You are your professional self. This one is when they just talk at you. You can't get a word in. When you do, they're not listening. They don't even wait for their turn to talk. They start talking over you. I literally stop them and say I have to go do something, and then avoid interacting with them again from then on. As an introvert, there is nothing worse than being held hostage in a pointless conversation. There are people that can talk about themselves to death, and some people I see like only once every year and a half or 2 years, and they're still telling the same exact story. I'm like, so you just pop into places and reel off the same entire life story. I can't be the only one you're doing this to. I'm captive. I'm a captive audience. And you are so unaware that I can't move, or I can't even get a word in. And like they said, when you do get a word in, they're not listening at all. They didn't even hear you respond even to what they are talking about. You're not even giving your own story, or relate. You're just commenting on their stories, and they didn't hear a word of that. They monologue. It's a monologue. And you know how I said about parenting, because sometimes my teenager will kind of monologue, and I will say, you're not listening to me. You are monologuing. And I understand you want to vent, but you're monologuing. And it ticks her off, but I have a responsibility to raise an adult that's not going to go do that to people. Like, I'm here to hear you. But you cannot monologue at me. Yes, I've been stuck in group conversations where the whole conversation is people talking about themselves and no one is listening to anybody else. A whole group of it. We really are animals, aren't we? Birds. Chicken heads. They're just waiting for the other person to take a slight pause before they jump in and talk about themselves. It sounds like some MLM chicks I know. I've been known to dip out and just walk home. I'd rather spend time with a cat. An equal irritating subset of this is the person who, in the course of a conversation, doesn't ask you a single question about your life. You leave the conversation with that person not knowing one thing about you besides maybe your name, which they promptly forget. My father-in-law knows less about me now in 20 years than people I meet in a bar in one random night. But at least he has his own assumptions in order. It amazes me that these people don't realize what they're doing and how awful it is for the other party. I actually start laughing sometimes because of how ridiculous it is. Have you ever done that? Have you ever just been so, there's freeze, there's flight, and then there's like church giggles, church giggle trauma reaction, church giggle. How do I articulate this? If something bad is happening to you, some people just freeze up. Some people get really offended and act. So there's freeze, flight, fawn, where I do that. I'm an idiot sometimes with that. Like, oh, just let it happen. Like, people pleasing. But I think the best one, and the one we should gravitate towards, and the one that's not talked about, is just hysteria. Just cracking up in somebody's face. Like, this can't really be happening. This can't. I have had that happen before, where I just start cracking up, like hysteria, I guess, and grab my keys and go home. This is unreal. This can't be real. This has to be comedy, dramedy. I need to go home and be around nobody. I'm like this a bit, and it's because we come from loud families where everyone talks over each other, so if they don't do it, they don't get heard ever. I'd rather not be heard, though. Like I said, I'm going to grab my keys and dip. I get headaches. No. My mother-in-law, one time she actually seemed like she was listening and didn't interrupt me. I got all flustered and didn't finish. I think I ruined my chance. That one time somebody listened and it was so odd that they were listening that you freaked out and just ate your words. I usually check out of a conversation if I can't get a word in. I don't always walk away, but I'll sometimes just act like we weren't talking because we weren't. Okay, another one is being quick to put others down. And also never making fun of themselves. Self-deprecation is a virtue. You know, I see all these things that say don't self-deprecate because you know, your mind will listen to that. If you say I'm such an idiot, your mind's gonna hear that and it's gonna think badly about itself. I'm stuck with me, and sometimes that is pretty brutal. So if there is, you know, different things going on up there, we need comic relief. Period. I'm never gonna stop self-deprecating. That's how we get through these different things that they say are going on up here. That sounds crazy. We're gonna laugh at ourselves. To an extent, too much negative self-talk is an indication that someone has a low opinion of themselves and is insecure. The next comment is, I don't see what me having a low opinion of me has to do with me being insecure. Okay, they do have a point. Negative self-talk and like not comical. Yeah, you gotta stop that. You gotta stop that shit. That's just self-pity. And it's a spiral, so. Oh yeah, people who tease me in a social setting when I don't know them like that. Yeah, like what? I don't even know you. Why do you think you can tease me? Even relatives that like you don't know that well, because people just assume they're your uncle or they're your, you know, your mom's aunt or mom's cousin or something. They can tease you and you're like, I don't even freaking know you. My mom might, or she did 20 years ago, but bitch, I'm not even a kid. Why are you comfortable teasing? You don't know me. I don't know you. If you zero in on me or try to look funny in front of others, I'm just over it. And I've seen like YouTubes about this and other just like little discussions. And a really good thing to do in a situation like that is be like, why would you say that? And then when they start to like repeat or justify, they sound extra stupid, and it's weird. Like, whoa, why would you say that? Or you can just ask them to repeat that, like, what did you say? And let them say it again, because it always sounds stupider the second time. Always. Even think about when you tell a joke and nobody heard it and you have to tell it again. Like, never mind. No, this is over. Someone who consistently thinks they're the smartest person in the room despite never knowing what they're talking about. So I guess a combination of ignorance and arrogance, the worst. The worst. My brother-in-law is like this. He knows everything, and if not, he at least knows more than you. Heard a phrase a few times. If you're constantly the smartest in one of the rooms you're in, you're spending too much time in the wrong rooms. Something like that. Somebody labeled it ignoragance. Another person put a lack of kindness and being inconsiderate of others. Another person put not treating service personnel with dignity and respect. Yeah, that's a big no. A good rule of thumb I've heard is that if you're on a date with someone, watch how they treat the staff, since that tends to reveal who they are. The one-upper. I've done some pretty cool things in my life, but there's always the one-upper. Oh, God. Yeah, the one-upper. And I'm not talking about relatability, because I'm a relatability responder. I won't take over your story, but I will relate to it. And some people are offended by that. And to that I say, you're not my people. Because I love when somebody relates to me. Love it. So, cool. Please. grab your keys and laugh in my face and dip. I got Tucker here, and he's kind of a barker sometimes. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty bad. What's even worse, I know a guy who 2-ups everybody. It's much worse. You couldn't even imagine. My neighbor 3-ups everybody. So they're just like 1-upping this, but that's not bad. I was just telling about someone slightly worse, but I know multiple people who constantly 4-ups literally everybody. It makes your neighbor look humble. You couldn't even believe it. And someone said 7-ups. I literally dumb down some of my experiences or not tell them at all because I'd hate someone to think I'm one of those people. Yeah, I think when you are being relatable, it's important to not dumb it down and insult their intelligence, but like, I feel you because like, and then like a real crisp short version of like last year that something similar happened. You know, pushing religion or cultiness of any kind. Yeah. So, funny story. Technically I'm Christian, but I'm very liquid religiously. Now, my mom is pretty much what I would call evangelical. We were Catholic, okay? And then we were like practical Christian, and then somewhere she's like got into like mega churches and stuff, but she likes Christian music, and I dislike Christian music. So a couple weeks ago, she was like trying to force me to listen to, she kept sending me talking about her favorite Christian singer or something, and I was like, yeah, not interested. I didn't say it like that. I was just like, oh yeah, I don't like Christian music, but she's like, you gotta listen to it. And I finally said, Mom, you know how you don't like ASMR? That's how I don't like Christian music. And she's like, oh, okay, I get it. And that's why I can just say this on here, because my mom hates ASMR, so I can. But she's not going to listen to any of my, and that's me. Mom, I should be your favorite ASMR lady. But it's cool. No hard feelings. You don't like ASMR, I get it. I mean, you could watch just my face with the volume off, but it's fine. It's fine. Just don't send me no more Christian music. Oof, let's add MLM sheep to this also. Oh my god. Yeah. I think MLM has gotten even worse over the years. It really has. Like the cultiness. Well, maybe not. It was always culty. And like I said, I grew up in an MLM family, which is why I'm anti-MLM. Some of the products are great, but the lifestyle is trash. And if you found a way to do it and balance everything and not make it your entire existence, which some people do, props. Because like I said, there are good products. But if you're culty about it, and you turn your whole family into a MLM circus show, you're wrong for that. And then somebody put a little text, which is usually like what you would see when somebody adds you, like, and you have, or talks to you, and you haven't seen them in a long time, but they're in an MLM, and it's like the hey babe, person I haven't spoke to since however long. How are you? Ever dreamed of working from home on a flexible schedule and being your own boss? I've got a super exclusive offer just for you. Insert product. I can help you lose weight and make money. Oh my god. I almost want to do a whole video on the Kelsey Ray. The Kelsey Ray, like, she is insufferable. Absolutely insufferable. Me and my husband were watching a Kelsey Ray YouTuber talk about Kelsey Ray last night. And we're only halfway through it. There's a 2.5 hour YouTube just about her. There's a whole Reddit hate thread just about Kelsey Ray. I have to agree, we work with someone of a certain religion who always tried to get us to go to their church and be saved. She would message me on weekends and bank holidays. We'd always try and be nice, but she got so horrible she ended up quitting because she said she couldn't work with people who would be damned to hell anymore. You know, I have a client that was saying her friend was dying, and her friend was Jewish. And she was going to go visit her. And it was going to be like the last time that she saw her friend. And I'm sure she didn't say this to her friend, but to me she says, it's just sad that she won't be going to heaven because her religion, like, doesn't go to heaven. I'm like, maybe that is, I don't know for sure. I can't remember. I took world religions. I don't remember. I stay in my own lane. But I'm like, what a horrible thing to say and just to feel and to think. Like, no matter what religion you are, you ultimately should think that the higher power is going to decide this on Judgment Day for himself. Him or herself. You're not supposed to think of God as like a he or a she. It's a God, but like, ew, what if one of my friends, oh my God, can you imagine? Like, you are on your deathbed and your friend's out there saying stuff like that. And then, of course, I lost my place over here. So give me a second. I'll just chew in your ear for a second. Oh, here we are. Okay. Did you see that new horror movie that's coming out that's like 2 Jehovah's Witness girls going and knocking on doors? And then they knock on one door. Finally, somebody's going to let them in. He's like, well, come on in. I think it's Hugh Grant. And they're like, well, we can't come in unless there's a woman in the house. He's like, yeah, my wife's home. And he gets them in there, and then like some crazy horror stuff pops off. Looks pretty good. People use a lot of words to say nothing. Yeah, that is very annoying. Sometimes people do that, like in rebuttals on social media, or like to make their argument on social media. I'm like, that's a lot of words for that. That was so unnecessary. I'm not reading all that. People that are so determined to find something to be miserable and angry about. I have one of those friends. Littering. Yeah, got it. Nope, I can't respect you if you just throw bags of fast food out your window. Absolutely effing not. If they kick me in the balls as hard as they can for no reason, it's never happened, but I wouldn't like it. Okay, fair enough. People that want to argue over every little thing. Yes, a contrarian. I can't do it. You will agree with them as a test. Agree with them. And then you can flip them into saying the opposite of what they were just saying. If you know somebody like that, you want to have a little fun with it, do it. Do it, and then, take their comments and put them next to each other and be like, explain this. Explain how you got from here to here. Don't do it. It's not worth your time. Or maybe it is. I don't know. All right. If you watched this all the way to the end, thank you very much. I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, good night, sleep, and I will see y'all real soon. Toodaloo.